And he said, yeah, I got drafted, but then because I was a doctor, they stationed me on a base in Texas, and that's where your mother and I met a lot of our closest friends for the rest of our lives. And I said, when you were growing up, what was your address in Bushwick? And he told me the address, and I put it into my phone, and then I drew a line between my dad's childhood home and his granddaughter Una's childhood home now. It's about 4 miles apart. And I showed it to him. And I thought, how come my dad never told me any of this stuff sooner? And then I thought, how come I hadn't asked? And my dad at this point is getting tired and he can't really speak anymore. But I'm with him. And I want to be there for him because you know when your parent has been through what my dad has been through, you just don't know how many more times you'll get to see him again. And so I reached over and I rubbed his shoulder. And I could tell from his eyes that he enjoyed it. And his lips crested up a little. And so I just rubbed his shoulder for about 15 minutes. And I felt as close to my dad as I did when I was a kid, and he brought me the Curious George doll at the hospital. And when I was 12, and he caressed my hard nipples. And then Urban Air Store, Mike Birbiglia. And as you're filling out these forms, the loudspeaker's like, Angelina's birthday party in room 571. Joshua's birthday party in room 1310. It's like the seventh circle of hell, and all I want to do is go home. Fortunately, our daughter was injured almost immediately, and I say fortunately not because I wish this upon anyone, never mind my own child. But if it's going to happen, you want it early, you know, so you can beat the urban air rush. So I drive Jenny and Una from urban air to urgent care, which might as well have a shuttle bus. There were a lot of familiar faces over there, and it was a very shirt-driven campaign, and those shirts are worn, ironically, to this day by people actively on drugs. And before the D.A.R.E. program, I had not considered using drugs, and once they laid out all the options, I was like, I should try these drugs and make an educated decision, because they made it sound pretty exciting. They were like, kids are gonna come up to you. I was like, keep talking. Like, kids hadn't come up to me. This was the most exciting social development of my childhood. Kids are gonna come up to you. They're gonna offer you a crank. There are so many things I feel like I can't explain to my daughter. Like, she's 9 years old, and it's just getting harder and harder, because when they're younger, it sort of doesn't matter. Like, they're an animated bag of rice, and you just gotta make sure they stay animated. And then, even when they're toddlers, it's a lot of layups. What's that? That's an egg. I'm a genius, you know, but... And my wife doesn't know that much stuff either. She's a poet, I'm a comedian. Together, we're a sculptor. We just don't know a lot. I mean, we've read hundreds of books about leaves. We can't explain leaves that well. And it just started to become very clear to me about a year ago, because I get a call from my mom, and she said, Dad was sick this week, and I tried to get him to go, which is impressive. but also a good example of how controlling my dad is. I'm watching a half-dead neurologist tell a fully alive neurologist how to do her job. I mean, that is next level mansplaining. I mean, that's dead mansplaining. If you don't know the term mansplain, it's when a man explains to a woman something she might understand better than the man. I'm not explaining it to you, I'm conveying it. I am manveying, and it was devastating seeing my dad in this condition because, you know, when I was a kid, I always viewed my dad, we were like, well, that's why we came here. They're like, no, we don't know any doctors. So they sent us to a pediatric orthopedist, and the first thing she says, she goes, I think Una should have an x-ray. Una looks at me, she goes, Dad, what's an x-ray? And I took a swing, you know, I said, well, you go in this machine and then there's these rays. And the rays go through your skin. And they look around at your bones, right? That's sort of, and then they come back, I think, and you know, I don't know how they'd know how to come back, but explain the hemispheres of the brain. And all these kids came up to me afterwards and they were like, your dad is wicked smart. You have the smartest dad. I was like, yeah, I do have the smartest dad. But how come he didn't explain any of that stuff to me sooner? Because I just didn't see a lot of that, you know. What I would see of my dad was he'd come home from work around 8 o'clock at night and he would sit in the corner of the living room and read a war novel and scowl. And every now and then he'd sort of fly off the handle about some little thing. He'd be like, where are my goddamn keys? You know. I'd be like, we gotta find Dad's keys. Spent my whole life looking for those keys. Jumped through a window to get those keys. My dad would not like that. So a few days later, I drive home and I take my daughter to one of her friends' birthday parties that weekend. I go to probably 200-300 children's birthday parties a year. It's a huge part of my life. My daughter has 6 friends. Last year I went to 235 children's birthday parties. The birthday party industrial complex has grown wildly out of control. It's my least favorite part of my life. I don't like it, because I just don't like my daughter's friends. Am I allowed to say that? I don't even know. I love my daughter more than anything in the world. I don't like her friends. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time with 9-year-olds you're not related to. I've done this hundreds of times, which I think is technically bullying. So it's me, Jenny, Una, Broccoli, and then Broccoli's son, Arrow, which is a name. I mean, we live in Brooklyn. It's not the only Arrow we know. We know a quiver of arrows. We know a murder of bows. I mean, so we're driving to the birthday party. We stop at this bakery. And this is what drives me nuts about 9-year-olds. Arrow says to his dad, he goes, Dad, I don't want rosemary ciabatta. I want regular ciabatta. I want to say to this kid, look, Arrow, life is going to serve you all kinds of ciabatta. Fingers crossed. And then we hire an artist, and the artist draws the bones based on what the Rays have said. And it all takes place in that room right there. Mom and I will be out here. We are not allowed anywhere near what is about to happen. It is way too dangerous. There will be technicians in there with you. They will wear bulletproof vests. You will not be wearing one. Don't think too hard about that. And take it away, fellas. So she's worried, and for good reason, because the doctor came out a few minutes later. She goes, Una broke one of the bones in her foot, and so we're going to